What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Hoop State Hype with Miles Mastrocola. I'm Miles Mastrocola. Let's get right into it. You might notice we're in Raleigh. We're out of the studio a little bit. Shout out to Webb Wellman for not leaving us any keys. That's on you, but we're going to make it work. So we'll start off with some high school news in North Carolina. I think the biggest thing that we had this week was probably Jalen hood-schifino announcing that he's leaving Combine Academy and heading down to play for National Power Montverde Academy coach Kevin Boyle, with just an abundance of highly ranked, highly talented players. And it's a move that he's making because he feels like he's going to end up being an NBA player, and he needs to prepare himself to get to that point. And a lot of people are saying, you know, the Hoop State might be dead. You know, their top three players all left. You know, with Jaden Bradley going to IMG, with Jalen hood-schifino going to Montverde, and MJ Rice going to Oak Hill. I don't think people realize that those are like the top three programs in the entire country. So for anyone saying that, oh, the Hoop State said, shut the fuck up.
Damn!
It's not dead, and I'll explain it to you why. A, that talent is obviously homegrown in North Carolina. B, we acting like we don't get like high major kids to come in North Carolina like every single year. A kid named Daniel Nixon going to play at Winston-Salem Christian for Antonio Lowe. He comes to mind. I don't know, Isaiah Todd, you might have heard of him. He came to North Carolina a couple years ago to play as well. What I will say that this says about North Carolina is that this state is in desperate need for a marquee national program along the lines of an IMG or a Montverde or an Oak Hill. And I don't think what people realize is you can't build that overnight. These programs have taken years and years to build. And you have a lot of programs like a Combine Academy, like a Moravian Prep, like a Winston-Salem Christian, like a Quality Education, like a Word of God, that have had their moments, but are really, really trying to establish themselves as a true and tried national brand. So we'll see if they can do that in the coming years. But like we said, this ain't gonna happen with anybody that's in high school right now. Like, this is gonna take years and years to develop, and we'll see if it happens, but it's gonna be really, really interesting. The other thing that Jalen hood-schifino's him leaving that provides is really an opportunity for some other 2022 products in the state of North Carolina to possibly blow up and ascend and really stake their claim as a top prospect in the state of North Carolina. A few of those guys might be Deontay Green, the skilled 6'9" forward at Christ School, Brandon White, the dominant big man at North Rowan, Avion Pinner, the super versatile wing at Riverside Martin. So there's a bevy of guys, and even some that I didn't even mention, that have a chance to truly, truly establish themselves as the top 2022 prospect in the state of North Carolina. Next up on the list, we have some AAU events coming back. You know, we mentioned here at Hoop State that, you know, Phenom Hoop Report's coming back late July, and that COVID protocol has been very, very outlined as, you know, we're in the middle of a second wave possibly. You know, could be kind of the end of the first wave, and we don't know. You know, like, we're in unprecedented territory here, and we know that the world is yearning to get back to normal. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to get back to normal, but at the same time, we have to stay cautious. So when you see pictures of different AAU events from organizations that, honestly, I still don't even know the name of, really smaller organizations trying to run events, mostly in the state of South Carolina and Georgia, most of these small-time companies are not really executing on that COVID protocol to the best of their abilities. You're seeing people in the gym without masks, social distancing not being really practiced, and it's a shame, because if this keeps happening, it's gonna make all these other events that are trying to put on safe, you know, really welcoming environments for kids to come play. It's going to prevent them from doing what they're capable of doing. So if you're in the industry and you're running an event, make sure people are being careful. Like, this isn't a joke. Like, we have to really, really take this seriously. Kids deserve to play. Kids want to play. And we can make it happen in a safe environment, but we got to take all the precautions necessary. It might cost extra money, but we got to do it. It's simple as that. And the other thing that we're talking about, and this kind of goes hand in hand with people not really taking precautions, is we're really looking at a possibility of the public school season getting canceled. And I know people have talked about when a vote could be coming. I heard there's rumors going around it could be happening in the next few weeks, but there's a real possibility that the public school season gets canceled. And the thing I mentioned a few weeks ago, so you're going to see a lot of, if that does happen, you're going to see a lot of these kids go to the prep schools where they're not really governed by anybody, and they have a little bit more freedom to go out and play. So keep your eye out for that. Like I said, that's something we're going to continue to monitor here at the Hoop State Network. But moving on a little bit to college basketball, we got players coming back to campus, people getting tested for COVID, and people are like, oh, wow, kids are testing positive for COVID? No way. Yeah, people are going to test positive for COVID. Like, that's going to happen. In order to make it work is, once they get tested here, you got to make sure to quarantine them and make sure the environment is safe. so you can continue playing. People have been out and about. They're going to test positive. You got to make sure that once they get back to your campus that every precaution is being taken to make sure these kids stay safe. And for the most part, these cases are asymptomatic, and the kids are going to end up being fine, because it really is the older demographic that is really getting the brunt of this, but it should be taken seriously by everybody regardless of what's going on. Kian Itajeri, Grace Christian forward, committed to the University of Texas today. Coach Shaka Smart reeling in a gem. I mean, he's a kid that his recruitment was kept pretty quiet. We heard rumors about where he might be going, but this is a kid that, you know, he decided to play for Upward Stars this summer. He showed some flashes of his improvement at their workouts and their combines and stuff like that. So shout out to them for providing him a platform to show everyone the strides that he's made in his game. And Kian, shout out to you for getting it done. We wish you the best of luck for your senior season at Grace Christian, and then as you move down to Austin, Texas, where we hope you continue to do your thing. One other thing to note in college from a recruitment standpoint: Oklahoma State got punished bad, very, very bad. Postseason ban, probation, scholarship reduction, what have you. They got it all. And there was a lot of debate on whether Cade Cunningham, Mr. East Bay at the John Wall, is going to come back. And is Cade Cunningham going to be one of the guys that says, screw it, I'm going to the G League, or screw it, I'm going overseas? But he showed a lot of loyalty to Coach Mike Boynton at Oklahoma State, and he's staying at Oklahoma State for this season, even though there's a legitimate possibility that their appeal gets overturned or gets denied, and they're not able to play in the NCAA tournament if we even have a college basketball season. So that is something to note with college. Professional ranks, a few different things to keep track of. Corona cases in Florida are skyrocketing. And I think on Friday and Saturday they reported around 9,000 or 7,000 cases. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a hefty amount. And like I said earlier, it is a lot of young people getting the virus, because they're the young people that are going out and just kind of acting as if nothing's going on. So it's young people getting it, but it's still a number to be very, very concerned about. And the NBA has basically said, you know, we're rolling in with cautious optimism. We're still ready to go. We don't see anything that's going to stop us from going, but we are monitoring the situation very, very closely to kind of continue to see what goes on in the state of Florida, and if they're able to play their season at that bubble in Disney World. They announced the hotel placement for all the teams. It kind of, you know, clarity is kind of being showed as to exactly what's going to be going on in Orlando starting in late July. Davis Bertans is probably the first notable NBA player on a team that is going to the bubble that has announced he's not playing. Bertans is coming off probably the best season of his career. He has 2 ACL injuries in his history, and he's about to be an unrestricted free agent, and probably one of the top unrestricted free agents in what's a relatively weak class. So he's got a big contract that he's waiting on. His stock is really high. Didn't want to play down his stock or possibly get hurt. So we might see some more players announce that, hey, we're not playing in this. I got to stay healthy. I got to keep my value for this next contract, because this Corona stuff isn't going to last forever. You know, and we're probably going to realistically have a vaccine here at some point in 2021, or possibly even later this year. So Davis Bertans decided he's not playing. Good for him. And if anybody else does it, we'll be sure to let you know. Last thing for the NBA, Troy Weaver has been hired as a Detroit Pistons general manager. And this is kind of interesting for us as high school and AAU people, because Troy Weaver got his start in AAU basketball. He started off as an AAU director, made his move to Syracuse, where he recruited guys like Jerry McNamara and Carmelo Anthony, helping Syracuse win a 2003 national title. After that, he spent a few years at Syracuse, went on to be an NBA scout for around a dozen or so years, and now he's getting a crack at being a general manager for the Detroit Pistons. And this is huge because the NBA is a diverse league. It's a primarily black league, and now we have a black guy getting thrust into a very, very powerful position, and deservedly so. This is a guy that's paid his dues and has an opportunity to really turn that franchise around. So that's a huge thing here for the NBA to make sure they're furthering their initiative of making sure that the league is properly represented with everybody involved. So that's a very, very good thing. Congratulations to Troy Weaver. Wish you the best of luck. I think that is about it for this episode of Hoop State Hype. Like I said, AAU stuff coming back. We'll be sure to keep you updated once games start being played with guys that we know from around the Hoop State. And I think that's about it. We appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you all soon.
Kid for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, and play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in, I get it in, I get it in. Kid for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in, I get it in, I get it in. I'm on my job, I get it done, but you should know that. Shine like a sun, a 101, you should know that. I get the front and in the back, you should know that. No need to stun, it's never cap, you should know that. All I know, 10 toes.